Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time we're going super in-depth on a plan for democratic transition in Eritrea.
Sounds pretty complex.
It is, but it's also really hopeful.
Hopeful.
Yeah. We're going to be looking at this document. It's
long.
called Eritrea, Plan for Democratic Transition and Transformative Change.
Catchy.
And it's this blueprint
Okay.
that was put out by the
Uh-huh.
Eritrean Research Institute for Policy and Strategy.
ERPS.
Yeah, ERPS, in January of 2025.
So this year?
Yeah, it just came out this year. And what's really cool about it is it's a potential roadmap for the country.
Oh, wow.
Like, what would it actually take
Right.
for Eritrea to go from an authoritarian state
Yeah.
to a functioning democracy?
I mean, it's a big jump, right?
It's a huge jump, and this document really gets into the nitty-gritty.
I'm interested.
But before we get into the specifics of like
Love
all
it.
the different steps that they're proposing,
Uh-huh.
I think it's helpful to understand the context.
Okay, so like back up a bit.
So, Eritrea has this incredible history, really long history.
Yeah, going way back.
Yeah.
Ancient civilizations, it was a cultural crossroads.
Yeah.
But like modern day Eritrea has been,
It's been rough.
yeah, it's been marked by a lot of struggle
Mm-hmm.
under this, the PFDJ regime.
Right.
And the document doesn't shy away from any of that.
Oh, good.
It talks about the human rights abuses,
Mm-hmm.
the suppression of dissent, the economic stagnation,
Which has led to a lot of people leaving.
a mass exodus of people fleeing Eritrea,
Right.
and they even mention
What's that?
the Mai Habar massacre
Oh.
of disabled war veterans back in 1994,
Wow.
which is just like
That's dark.
a chilling reminder of how brutal the regime has been.
Yeah. So it sounds like this plan
Yeah.
is really trying to respond to them.
Yeah, it's a direct response to those needs.
Yeah.
But the way they're going about it is interesting because it's not...
It's a revolution.
Yeah, it's not like they're saying,
Yeah.
let's just overthrow the government and start from scratch, tear it all down.
Yeah, it's much more of a
Gradual thing.
carefully managed transition.
Okay.
So it's actually broken down into 3 phases.
Ooh, 3 phases. Okay.
So the first one is this.
Laying the groundwork.
Yeah, they call it the interim period.
Interim period.
And it's really about stabilizing the nation.
Right.
So releasing political prisoners,
Right.
starting to establish a basic framework for, democratic processes.
Right.
And starting to address those urgent humanitarian needs
Okay.
that have been neglected for so long.
So really setting the stage.
Yeah, setting the stage. But that makes me wonder, how do you
I know, right?
make sure that there's a smooth handover of power?
Right, because the old guard, they're not just going to go quietly.
Exactly. I mean, are they really gonna...
Give up control.
Yeah, I mean, who would benefit from this current system?
Right.
Are they just going to step aside
Yeah. Or they're just going to be like, okay, sure.
and let this interim government come in? Yeah, you guys take over.
And start making these changes.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd be skeptical.
it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And the document acknowledges
Right.
that
Right.
they know this is going to be tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So they're proposing that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
There needs to be this very clear
Okay,
legal framework
right.
for how the transfer of power is going to happen
Okay,
with a ton of oversight
okay.
and accountability
Accountability is good.
built in from the start.
Yeah.
And they also talk about establishing a Truth and Reconciliation Commission,
Ooh, interesting.
which I think is really important.
I mean, they have to deal with the past, right?
Yeah, you can't just pretend that
Yeah, just sweep it under the rug
all this stuff didn't happen.
and move on.
Yeah, and expect to build a stable and just society.
Yeah,
So they're saying that this commission
yeah.
would be tasked with addressing these past grievances
Okay.
in a way that promotes healing and reconciliation.
So,
Yeah, bringing people together.
bringing people together, acknowledging what happened,
Right.
trying to,
Learn from it.
learn from it and move forward
Yeah.
in a more positive direction.
It makes sense.
So it's not just about,
Yeah.
getting rid of the old regime.
Right.
It's about really addressing the wounds of the past,
Okay.
building trust,
And then,
and ensuring a more just and equitable future.
okay, so that's step 1.
Yeah, that's that interim period.
The interim period. Okay.
And then it moves into the
That's
second
what-
phase,
What's that?
which they call the transitional period.
The transitional period.
And this is where things start to get,
Juicy.
it gets a little more complicated, but also a lot more
Exciting.
exciting because they're talking about creating a power sharing arrangement.
Power sharing. Okay.
Yeah, so think of it like a coalition government
Right.
where you've got representatives from different
Like different groups?
Yeah, different political groups,
Yeah.
civil society organizations, even members of the diaspora,
Bringing in the diaspora.
bringing in those voices from
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
The existing power structure,
Right.
which is a really,
Huge.
yeah, it's a bold move.
Yeah.
But I think it could be crucial for, like,
Yeah.
building consensus and legitimacy.
Right. You need everybody on board.
Yeah, you need to make sure that everyone feels like
Yeah.
they have a stake in this process,
Like they're being heard.
that they're being heard, that their voices matter.
Yeah.
And during this transitional period, the focus shifts to,
What's the focus now?
so they're talking about drafting a new constitution,
A whole new constitution. Wow.
establishing independent institutions.
Like what kind of institutions?
So things like a judiciary and electoral commission.
Oh, right. So you can actually have
Yeah,
fair elections.
fair and free elections.
Yeah.
And really preparing for that eventual transition
To democracy.
to a fully functioning democracy.
Okay.
But, elections alone don't guarantee democracy.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I mean, we've seen plenty of countries that hold
Oh,
elections,
Right.
but are still far from being truly democratic.
So it's more than just like
Yeah.
checking a box on a ballot.
Exactly. And the ERPS plan recognizes this.
Okay.
So they're saying it's not just about the elections.
Right.
It's about building a robust civil society,
Mm-hmm.
protecting fundamental freedoms like,
The freedom of speech.
yeah, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly,
Right.
and really fostering a culture of active citizenship.
So people actually participate.
Yeah, so it's not just about, like,
Yeah.
voting every few years.
Right.
It's about people being engaged
Yeah.
in the political process on a day-to-day basis,
Holding their leaders accountable.
holding their leaders accountable, speaking out,
Yeah.
organizing, advocating for the changes that they want to see.
Wow. That's a big shift.
It is.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the final phase,
Okay. The final phase.
which is,
This is the democracy phase.
this is the constitutional period
The constitutional period.
where Eritrea would transition to a fully functioning
Okay.
democracy,
Wow.
governed by the rule of law
Mm-hmm.
and the will of the people.
So all those institutions, and
Yeah.
processes,
It all comes together
Yeah.
in this final phase.
even building towards this the whole time.
Yeah, they've been laying the groundwork
Right.
in those earlier phases.
So by the time they get here, like-
Everything's in place.
it should just work.
In theory, it should just work. But,
We'll see. There's always
there's a process.
Yeah, there's always challenges
Hmm.
and unforeseen obstacles that
Mhm.
top up along the way.
Yeah, nothing ever goes exactly according to plan.
But what I find so compelling about this document
Yeah.
is that it's not just
Some vague idea.
some like pie in the sky vision.
Right.
They've actually
Thought it through.
thought through the practical steps,
Okay.
the potential challenges.
And even, like, what role the international community could play
Oh, wow.
in supporting this transition.
So it's really like
It's a roadmap.
a plan of action.
Yeah, it's like a blueprint
I like that.
for how to actually make this happen.
Yeah, and it seems like it's really
Mhm.
coming from the Eritrean people.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones driving this.
It's a testament to their resilience
Yeah,
and their determination to,
to create a better future.
yeah, to chart a new course for their nation.
It's inspiring.
It is. It's really inspiring. And
Yeah.
it makes you think, like,
What can we do?
yeah, what role can we play
To help.
in supporting this process?
Yeah.
So that's something I really want to delve into
Okay.
as we kind of untack the rest of this document.
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've been talking about this three-phase transition,
Right.
but it's all been kind of high level so far.
Yeah. Big picture stuff.
Yeah, and I'm curious about,
The details.
yeah, the details. Like, how do they actually,
Right. Like, how does this actually work?
how do they actually make this happen?
Yeah. What are the mechanisms?
Yeah, give me an example.
So one of the cool things about this plan is they actually have these specialized commissions.
Commissions?
Yeah. So they're basically,
Task forces.
like expert bodies.
Okay.
And they each have a specific mandate
Okay.
to oversee different parts of this whole transition process.
So there's like multiple commissions,
Multiple commissions, yeah.
each one focused on,
A different piece of the puzzle.
okay, give me an example. Like, what kind of commission are we talking about?
Okay. So, for example, there's the Constitution Reform and Ratification Commission.
That's a mouthful.
It is, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
So they're in charge of writing a new constitution for Eritrea.
Yep. A brand new one.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is huge.
I mean, the Constitution's like,
The foundation.
yeah, it's the foundation of the whole legal and political system.
Right. It's got to be solid.
They got to get this right. And the ERPS plan actually,
They have a whole plan for this.
yeah, they lay out this really thoughtful approach
Okay.
to how they would draft this new constitution.
Okay.
And one of the key things they emphasize is
What's that?
public consultation.
Oh, so it's not just like,
Yeah, it's not just like a bunch of experts
yeah, some backroom deals.
sitting in a room
Yeah.
coming up with this document.
Right. It has
Right.
to involve the people.
Yeah, it needs to reflect the will of the Eritrean people.
Okay, so like, how would they do that?
Well, they talk about having town hall meetings,
Okay.
public forums,
Mm-hmm.
you know, really getting people's input,
So they feel like
Yeah.
they're part of this.
like they're shaping this new Eritrea.
They have a voice?
Yeah, they have a voice, and they even suggest holding a national referendum
Wow.
to ratify the final draft.
So the people actually get to vote
Yeah, they get to vote on it,
on the Constitution.
on the Constitution.
That's a powerful statement.
It is. It's a really powerful statement about
About what?
the importance of citizen participation.
Like, they're not just
Yeah,
subjects.
they're not just passive recipients of this new system.
Right. They're actually
It's-
creating it.
They're actively involved in shaping their own future.
I like that.
And it really underscores
Yeah.
this core principle that runs through the whole plan.
Which is
This idea that,
that the people are at the center of this.
yeah, that a successful transition to democracy
Yeah.
requires the active engagement of the Eritrean people.
It can't just be imposed.
Exactly. It can't be top down.
Yeah.
It has to
But
be,
bottom up.
yeah, it has to come from the grassroots.
I like that. Okay, so we've got this Constitution Commission.
Yeah.
What other commissions are there?
So another really important one is the
Hit me with it.
Transitional Justice Commission.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah, this one's
Yeah.
particularly crucial.
Important given Eritrea's history.
Yeah, I mean, given everything that's happened.
All the human rights abuses.
Yeah, you can't just like
Brush it under the rug
pretend it didn't happen.
and move on.
Yeah, and expect to build a stable and just society.
No, you got to deal with it somehow.
You have to deal with it.
Address it.
And the ERPS plan acknowledges that.
Okay.
So this Transitional Justice Commission would be tasked
Over
with
here.
addressing these past injustices,
Okay.
but in a way that,
Doesn't create more problems.
yeah, that promotes healing and reconciliation.
So it's a tricky balance.
It is a tricky balance.
Yeah.
So what does that actually look like in practice?
Right. How do they actually do that?
Yeah.
Well, they propose this multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
And one key element is a truth-telling mechanism.
Truth-telling.
Yeah, kind of like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa,
Oh, yeah.
where victims could come forward.
Yeah, share their stories.
Yeah, and perpetrators could acknowledge their wrongdoing.
Right, and the nation can kind of collectively confront its past.
Yeah, face those demons.
Face those demons.
Okay.
But they also recognize that.
That truth isn't enough.
Yeah, truth alone isn't enough.
There has to be some accountability.
Right, so are they talking about like,
Trials.
yeah, trials for those who committed the most serious crimes?
Yeah, they actually suggest setting up a special court.
A special court
Yeah.
to investigate
Yeah.
and potentially prosecute?
Those most responsible.
Okay, so not everyone who's
Actually, like,
every low-level soldier or whatever.
yeah, but those who are like,
Yeah, the mastermind.
yeah, the ones who are really responsible for these.
Yeah, crimes against humanity.
Crimes against humanity, yeah.
Okay.
But that's a tough balance to strike,
This
right?
is super tough.
Like pursuing justice,
yeah.
but also trying to foster.
Conciliation, like,
Yeah.
how do you do both?
How do you do both at the same time?
Right.
And the ERPS plan acknowledges that they're not pretending that it's easy.
Yeah.
They're saying that this process
This whole transitional justice thing,
needs to be seen as fair
and impartial
by everybody.
by both the victims and those who may be accused.
Right, because if people don't trust the process,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
It's going to backfire.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got the Constitution Commission,
Mm-hmm.
the Transitional Justice Commission.
Yeah.
Any other big ones?
There's the Public Policy Commission,
Public policy, okay.
and they're tasked with tackling,
All the big issues.
yeah, a whole range of issues.
Oh, right.
So everything from like the economy
Okay.
to education to
Oh,
healthcare.
Right, like how do you actually
Yeah. Yeah.
rebuild
How
society
to build the country.
after all this?
Yeah.
That's a big job.
It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And they're responsible for developing policies,
Okay.
strategy.
To actually fix things.
Yeah, to revitalize the economy,
Right.
improve access to basic services,
Mhm.
and create opportunities for all Eritreans.
So everyone benefits.
Yeah, so it's not just about like
yeah.
a select few
Right.
at the top.
It's about lifting everyone up.
Yeah, it's about creating a more equitable society.
Okay, but how do they plan on doing all that?
Well, they have some concrete suggestions.
Okay, like what?
So, for example, They advocate for a shift towards
What kind of economy?
a market-based economy,
Oh, okay.
encouraging private sector investment.
So like capitalism.
Yeah, essentially.
Right.
And they talk about like,
Where's the money going to come from?
well, they talk about tapping into the diaspora.
Ah, the diaspora.
Yeah, all those Eritreans
Who left
who fled the country.
and are doing well.
They have a lot of talent and resources.
Yeah.
And they're saying, like, let's bring those resources back into Eritrea
Okay.
to help rebuild the country.
I like that.
But they also stress the importance of
What's that?
good governance
Right.
and transparency
What's horror?
to create a business environment
Yeah.
that actually attracts investment.
Because if it's corrupt,
Yeah,
nobody's going to want to invest.
nobody's going to put their money
Right.
into a system that's
Yeah.
rife with corruption.
Or where the rules aren't clear.
Yeah, they need to make it clear
Yeah.
that this is a safe and stable place to invest.
Okay, so that's the economic side.
Yeah.
What about the social side?
Well, they also propose
Okay.
specific measures to address social inequality.
Like what?
So investing in education,
Okay.
healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in marginalized communities.
So making sure that everyone has a chance.
Everyone has a chance to thrive.
Yeah.
And they highlight the importance of empowering women
Okay.
and youth,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that they play a crucial role
Yeah.
in building a prosperous and democratic Eritrea.
It's interesting how they've kind of woven all these things together.
Yeah.
Like the social, the economic, the political.
Well, it's all interconnected.
Yeah, you can't separate them.
It's a holistic approach.
I like that there's one more commission I wanted to mention.
Okay.
I think this one's really important.
Which one?
It's called the Social Services Commission.
Okay.
And this one focuses specifically on people who have been most affected by the conflict and authoritarian rule.
So like refugees.
Yeah, refugees.
Or political prisoners,
Mm-hmm.
victims of human rights abuses.
Exactly. So they talk about things like providing support for refugees who are coming back.
Reintegration.
Yeah, reintegration.
Okay.
Helping demobilized soldiers, transition back into civilian life.
Right.
Offering assistance to disabled veterans and just making sure that all Eritreans have access to
basic services.
Yeah, the things they need.
Regardless of their background.
Right.
So it's really about
Leaving no one behind.
Yeah, leaving no one behind.
Making sure that everyone is included in this new Eritrea.
And it really speaks to the human-centered approach of this whole plan.
It's not just about abstract ideas.
Yeah, it's about people.
Yeah, it's about creating a system that actually works.
For everyone.
For real people.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about all these commissions.
Yeah.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle.
Which is?
The international community.
Yes.
What role do they play?
Well, the ERA-PS plan explicitly calls for
help.
Yeah, with support from other nations and international organizations.
So they're not saying Eritrea can do this alone.
They're saying they need help.
Yeah, they need help.
And it's not just about like
money.
Yeah, it's not just financial support.
Okay.
They're talking about things like diplomatic pressure on the current regime
to get them to step down.
Yeah, to make sure that they're actually allowing this transition to happen.
Okay.
They talk about assistance with election monitoring.
Oh, yeah, to make sure the elections are fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they talk about like sharing expertise.
Right.
In building democratic institutions.
Like sharing best practices from other countries that have gone through this.
So they're saying like we need
help.
We need help from the international community to make this happen.
And that brings up a question for us.
For us, the listeners.
Yeah, like what role can we play?
Yeah. What role can we play in supporting
a democratic transition?
A peaceful and democratic transition.
In Eritrea.
In Eritrea.
That's a good question.
It is a good question. It's pretty amazing how much detail they've gone into. Like, they've really tried to think of everything.
Yeah, it's impressive.
But I'm wondering, like, what do they see as...
biggest challenges?
Yeah, what are the biggest hurdles to actually making this happen?
Well, one of the things they talk about is mistrust.
Mistrust.
Yeah, I mean, after decades of authoritarian rule, there's going to be a lot of skepticism.
Yeah, like, people might not believe that it's actually possible.
Exactly. Like, is this for real?
Yeah, are those in power really going to...
give up control?
Yeah, relinquish control and allow this transition to happen.
Right, because they've been in power for so long.
And they've benefited from the current system.
Exactly.
So why would they change?
It's understandable that people would be skeptical.
Definitely.
And it's not just mistrust of the government.
Right.
There's also potential for conflict.
Oh, yeah.
Within Eritrean society itself.
Like between different groups.
Yeah, like along ethnic or political lines.
Right, because there's been so much division.
Yeah. And the plan talks about how important it is
To address that.
yeah, to address these divisions through
Dialogue.
reconciliation,
Yeah.
and a commitment to inclusivity.
So making sure that everyone feels like
Yeah.
they're part of this new Eritrea.
Yeah, that they have a stake in the future.
Exactly.
And it's like that saying, united we stand, divided we fall.
Oh, yeah.
If they can't come together
Yeah.
and work together,
It's not going to work.
it's not going to work.
And on top of that, there's the economic situation.
Right. Eritrea is facing some serious economic challenges.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
And that could really undermine
The whole transition, the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, if people are struggling to survive,
Yeah.
they're not going to be focused on
Building a democracy.
Yeah, they're going to be worried about
Putting food on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
And the plan calls for
big economic changes.
a major overhaul of the economy.
Yeah.
But that's going to require a lot of investment.
Right. Where's the money going to come from?
Yeah, both from within Eritrea and from,
The international community?
from international partners.
But that's tricky, right?
It is because,
if there are concerns about stability,
or corruption.
people are going to be hesitant to invest.
Exactly. It's a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah, like you need the investment to create stability,
Right.
but you need stability to attract investment.
It's a chicken and egg situation.
Exactly.
And that's why they emphasize
That sounds-
transparency,
Okay.
good governance,
Mm-hmm.
and a commitment to tackling corruption.
Because that's going to build trust.
Yeah.
And make people more willing to invest.
And hopefully create this virtuous cycle.
A virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where political reforms lead to economic growth,
Okay.
which in turn strengthens democratic institutions
Yeah.
and creates a more stable and prosperous society.
That's the ideal scenario.
Yeah, that's the...
But there's no guarantees.
Right.
I mean, even with the best plan,
Yeah.
things can go wrong.
The path to democracy is rarely smooth or predictable.
Yeah. There's going to be bumps along the way.
There's going to be setbacks, unforeseen challenges,
Yeah.
moments where it feels like,
Things are going backwards,
yeah,
but that's where the Eritrean people come in.
it's ultimately up to them.
Their resilience, their determination.
Their belief in a better future.
Exactly. And this plan is really,
A testament to that.
to their commitment
The
to,
democratic values.
and their willingness to work together
To make it happen.
to achieve lasting change.
And that brings us back to that question.
The question of what we can do
Yeah, what role can we play
to help.
in supporting this process?
Yeah, because it's easy to feel powerless.
Right. Like, what can we do from so far away?
Exactly. But there are things we can do.
Like what?
Well, first of all, we can stay informed.
Right.
Like, actually read this document.
Yeah, we'll make sure to link to it in the show notes.
Yes, definitely read it.
Learn about the situation.
Yeah, understand the nuances.
The challenges, the opportunities.
Exactly.
And we can talk about it.
Yeah, have conversations
Raise awareness.
with our friends and family.
Yeah.
And challenge any misconceptions or stereotypes that we might encounter.
And we can contact our elected officials.
Oh, yeah.
Let them know that we support
A peaceful transition.
a peaceful and democratic transition in Eritrea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And if we're feeling really inspired,
Yeah.
we could even support organizations.
That are working on the ground
Yeah, that are working in Eritrea.
to promote human rights.
Economic development, peace building.
Yeah, even small donations can make a difference.
It all adds up.
Yeah, every little bit helps.
It's like that quote,
Which one?
never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Powerful words.
So true.
So what's the takeaway?
The takeaway is that the future of Eritrea
Yeah,
is ultimately in the hands of the Eritrean people.
right.
But we can play a role
In supporting their journey.
in supporting their journey towards
A better future.
a more just equitable and democratic society.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive
Deep dive complete.
into Eritrea's potential path to democracy.
That's been a journey.
We've covered a lot of ground.
A lot of complex issues.
Hopefully we've sparked some thoughtful reflection.
Some food for thought.
And as always,
Oh,
we encourage you to
keep learning.
keep learning, stay engaged,
Yeah.
and never underestimate the power of hope.
And collective action.
Until next time,
Keep exploring
keep questioning.
and keep diving deep.
See you later.